All right, let's talk about something we've all gone through. That one song that just gets stuck in your head. It's one of the most universal and, yeah, sometimes maddening human experiences out there. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, have you ever had a song stuck in your head? Of course you have. It's almost a silly question, right? It's that tiny piece of a song playing over and over and over again. It's a total squatter in your brain, completely uninvited. And it's so common, we usually just shrug it off, but not today. Today, we're diving in.
So just how common are we talking? Get this, over 90% of people experience one every single week. That is a huge number. For some people, it happens multiple times a day. So no, you're not going crazy. It's not some weird glitch in your personal programming. It's actually a basic, fundamental feature of how most of our brains work.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's investigate this cognitive quirk that just won't seem to go away. You can think of it like we're detectives at a crime scene, a crime of the mind. And the culprit? The brain's uninvited song.
So, first things first, what are we actually talking about here? Well, scientists have a fancy name for it, involuntary musical imagery, but let's just call it an earworm. The most important word there is involuntary. You don't choose it, it chooses you. And what's really interesting is that it's rarely the entire song, right? It's usually just a short 15 to 30-second loop of the catchiest part, the part that's designed to stick.
Now, you might think earworms are always super annoying. And yeah, they definitely can be. But here's something that might surprise you. While about 30% of them are considered disturbing, the other 70%, people actually report them as being either neutral or even kind of helpful, like a little background music while you're doing chores or something boring.
Okay, so we know what they are, but the real question is, why do they happen? To figure that out, we've got to peek under the hood and look at the brain itself. We're going to look at both the hardware, the physical parts, and the software, the mental programs that are making this all happen.
So, the hardware. The main piece of equipment we're talking about is your auditory cortex. And the best way to think about it is like your brain's built-in MP3 player. It doesn't just hear music from the outside world, it stores it. And it can hit play whenever it wants, even when it's completely silent around you. You are literally hearing that music inside your own head.
Okay, so if the auditory cortex is the MP3 player, what's the software that's mashing the repeat button? Well, it's kind of like a three-step program. First, you've got something called the phonological loop. Just picture a little loop of recording tape in your head that holds on to sounds for a short time. Step 2 is something called subvocalization. This is basically your inner singer. It's you mentally rehearsing the song without making a sound, and that rehearsal re-records the song back onto that tape loop. And the final piece of the puzzle, the real kicker, is called the Zeigarnik effect. This is your brain's deep-seated need to finish things. And that brings us to this idea of a cognitive itch. See, the Zeigarnik effect is this weird psychological quirk where our brains are obsessed with unfinished tasks. We remember them way better than stuff we've already completed. So that little snippet of a song, to your brain, that's an unfinished job. It plays it again and again, trying to scratch that mental itch, trying to find the ending. But because it's just a loop, the itch never gets scratched.
All right, so now we know how our brain gets a song stuck on repeat, but what kind of songs are the culprits? It's time to profile the musical suspects and figure out the secret recipe for stickiness.
Believe it or not, researchers have actually figured out a formula for this. The stickiest songs usually have a fast, upbeat tempo. They've got a simple melody that's really easy to predict, and they often have this sort of up and down pitch pattern, just like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But, and this is the secret sauce, they also need at least one little surprise, an unusual musical jump or twist. That's the cognitive hook that really snags your brain.
And would you look at this lineup? These are some of the top offenders. A song like Lady Gaga's Bad Romance, it's the perfect earworm storm. It's fast, it's repetitive, and it has that unforgettable rah-rah-ah-ah hook. Or think about moves like Jagger. That whistling part has that perfect rise and fall pattern we just talked about, which makes it super easy for your brain to latch onto.
So, when are these earworms most likely to attack? Well, it's usually when your brain is in a low-focus state. When you're driving, taking a shower, washing the dishes, basically when your mind is free to wander. This is when a part of your brain called the default mode network kicks in. I like to think of it as your brain's idle mode, and it gets bored easily. So the moment you're not paying attention, it just grabs the mental remote and starts blasting the last catchy song it heard. Okay, we've figured out what they are, why they happen, and which songs are the worst offenders. So now for the big finale. How do you get rid of them? Let's crack the case and look at some scientifically backed ways to finally hit the eject button.
So, you've got 3 main weapons in your arsenal. First, engage. Give your brain something else to do, something that takes concentration, like a Sudoku puzzle or an anagram. This basically uses up all the brain power that earworm needs to survive. Second, displace. Fight fire with fire. Listen to another song, a Cure song, to literally push the first one out. And third, and this one is my favorite, chew. Seriously, chew gum. The act of chewing messes with that inner singer, that subvocalization process, and it can actually scramble the earworm signal.
But you have to be careful with that Cure song strategy, right? You don't want to just trade one annoying song for another. And get this, one study found that one of the most effective Cure songs is God Save the King. And why does it work so well? Because for most people, it's just boring enough that there's absolutely no danger of it becoming the new earworm. It's kind of brilliant.
So we know how to fight them. But I want to leave you with one last kind of cool idea to chew on. What if this whole earworm thing isn't a bug, but a feature? Think about it. Before we had writing, how did we pass on important information? Through stories and songs. Making things catchy and rhythmic was literally a survival tool. So maybe that annoying song stuck in your head isn't a glitch at all. Maybe it's just a ghost of an ancient and incredibly powerful feature of the human mind. Something to think about next time you can't get that song out of your head.